Well, there's another interesting data point on their survey, another interesting question, which is about coding outside of work. And if you want an indication of somebody doing something because it makes them happy, it's something that they would do outside of work. And so the same exact work of developing, while there's 80% unhappy at work, 68% of respondents said that they write code outside of work as a hobby. That's like almost 70 out of 100 people. That's a large number. And 40%, which there's some overlap there, these aren't mutually exclusive, code outside of work for professional development or self-paced learning from online courses. So these are people investing in themselves, caring about getting better at what they do. And that's kind of amazing. So we have this dichotomy of people who love to write software, generally speaking, and yet unhappy writing software inside of their organization. And obviously you can look at your DXI and follow the 14, but the closer you can make your engineering teams feel like they're doing their hobby, like think about how a hobby works. It is self-directed, first of all. So autonomy is huge. Most likely, unless they have a bunch of kids running around, there's deep work involved. Like you can lose yourself in it. You can go into I was going to say the garage, but if we're coding, well, maybe the garage, wherever it is that you write software, and just pound away at it for 4 hours without any interruptions and really lose yourself in it. A lot of these 14 metrics actually are manifest in hobbies. And so if you can, obviously a business is a business. And so you can't just be like, everybody do what they want. It worked for a little while for GitHub till they got to about 100, I think, 100 engineers. I was there for the ride, not at GitHub, but here podcasting and paying attention and using it as a product and going to conferences where Zach Holman was traveling around and talking about their engineering-led development, and everybody pretty much just works on what they want to. That worked for GitHub for a long time. Long meaning in years, not in employee count. Like up to 100 is not a large engineering team. They're way larger now. But at a certain point, that thing falls apart because there's work that needs to be done that nobody would just naturally pick unless it was assigned to them and they're paid to do it. And so eventually that does. But if you can make your engineering team feel at least approximate like they would be doing this as a hobby, then I think you're going to have a lot of happy programmers.
That's how I've heard this described. How can you kind of get the same feeling of joy and flow from that you do when you're working on a side project, right? How do you get that same experience while working in your job? How can you recreate that? And if we could do that, we would unlock a lot more productivity. We would get a lot more out of engineers working at our companies.
Yes. And a lot more happiness too, which everybody wins there. Like there's no losers.